The vast emptiness of space suddenly erupted with light as massive alien vessels emerged from hyperspace. Their metallic hulls gleamed like polished silver, casting long shadows across the solar system's perimeter. Captain J. Park stood on the bridge of Earth's primary defense station, his eyes fixed on the holographic display tracking the incoming fleet. The Krell ships were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. They moved with a precision that suggested centuries of technological advancement, their massive forms easily dwarfing Earth's current space infrastructure. Each vessel looked like a deadly precision instrument, bristling with weapon systems that could obliterate entire planetary defenses. Communication signals began streaming in. The first transmission was direct and merciless. A deep, mechanical voice translated across multiple frequencies: "Inhabitants of Earth, your civilization is now under Krell protectorate. Resistance will result in complete elimination. Prepare for immediate surrender." Most military commanders would have panicked. Most governments would have descended into chaos. But not Earth. Not this time. Captain Park noticed something unusual about the alien communication. Despite their technological superiority, there was a subtle undertone of expectation. The Krell anticipated a quick, bloodless conquest. They believed humans would crumble at the mere sight of their fleet. "Track their communication frequencies," Park ordered his technical team. "I want complete analysis of their language, transmission protocols, and communication patterns." Dr. Hyun Kim, the lead technological researcher, was already working. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, capturing every microsignal, every subtle nuance of the alien transmission. What the Krell didn't realize was that humans had been preparing for potential extraterrestrial contact for decades. Global defense networks activated silently. Satellites repositioned. Underground research facilities began collecting data. The world wasn't just watching, it was analyzing, preparing, and waiting. The Krell fleet continued its approach. Massive ships positioned themselves strategically around Earth's orbital zone, creating a seemingly impenetrable blockade. Their weapons systems were powered and ready, a clear demonstration of overwhelming force. Another transmission came through. This time, more direct: "Final warning. Submit complete planetary surrender or face total destruction." Captain Park allowed himself a slight smile. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They assumed fear would be humanity's primary response. They didn't understand the complex, adaptive nature of human civilization. In military command centers across the globe, strategic teams were already developing counter-strategies. Not out of panic, but calculated response. Each nation contributed its unique technological and strategic insights. This wasn't going to be a traditional war. This would be a battle of innovation, adaptability, and unexpected resistance. Dr. Kim's initial analysis revealed fascinating insights. The Krell communication systems, while advanced, had predictable algorithmic patterns. Their technological superiority came with a cost: a certain rigidity in thinking. Humans, by contrast, were chaotic, unpredictable, and remarkably adaptable. "They're scanning our planetary defenses," a young communications officer reported. "They seem confused by our response." And indeed, instead of panic or immediate submission, Earth's response was measured, calm, almost clinical. Diplomatic channels remained open. Military systems were activated but not aggressive. The planet presented a unified, controlled front. The Krell fleet continued its approach, massive weapon systems primed. They had conquered hundreds of civilizations before. Each conquest followed a similar pattern: intimidation, surrender, subjugation. But humanity was different. And they were about to prove it. Captain Park looked around his bridge. His team was calm, focused, ready. The holographic display showed countless data streams, each revealing more about their unexpected visitors. "Prepare communication response," he said quietly. But nothing they would expect. As the alien fleet positioned itself, completing its seemingly invincible formation, something remarkable was happening on the blue planet below. Humanity was not preparing for defeat. They were preparing for a fight. The underground research facility hummed with intense energy. Dr. Hyun Kim stood at the center of a technological marvel, surrounded by holographic displays and advanced computer systems. Captured alien communication devices lay dissected across multiple workstations, their complex circuitry slowly revealing its secrets. "Break down the quantum encryption," she muttered to her team. "We're not just analyzing. We're going to understand and adapt." Across the global network, research centers worked in unprecedented synchronization. The alien technology was complex, but human curiosity was more powerful. Each fragment of Krell communication technology became a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be conquered. In a separate facility, engineers were developing electromagnetic disruption systems. They studied the alien weapon signatures, identifying vulnerabilities that the Krell believed were impossible to exploit. Traditional military thinking would have considered their task impossible. But these were not traditional times. Dr. Kim discovered something extraordinary. The Krell communication networks had a fundamental flaw: they relied on a hierarchical information transfer system. This meant that if one part of the network was compromised, the entire system could potentially collapse. "We're not just going to defend," she explained to her core team. "We're going to turn their own technology against them." Computer programmers worked around the clock. They developed quantum algorithms designed to infiltrate and disrupt alien communication channels. Each line of code was a potential weapon, each program a strategic assault on the Krell's technological superiority. Military strategists collaborated with scientists. They understood that this wasn't going to be a traditional war fought with conventional weapons. This would be a war of information, adaptation, and unexpected technological innovation. Global satellite networks began collecting and analyzing alien transmission data. Every signal, every communication frequency was studied, decoded, and understood. The Krell believed they were observing a primitive civilization. In reality, they were being studied more carefully than they could imagine. In another research center, a team led by a young engineer named Park Jun was developing electromagnetic pulse technologies specifically designed to target the alien ship systems. Traditional EMP technologies were crude. These were precision instruments, capable of targeting specific technological frequencies. "We need to be surgical," Park explained to his team. "Not just destructive, but precise." The global response was remarkable. Countries that had previously been competitors now worked as a unified technological force. Research centers shared data in real time. Every discovery, every breakthrough was immediately distributed across secure networks. Dr. Kim's team made another critical discovery. The Krell weapon systems, while advanced, had a predictable energy signature. By understanding this signature, they could develop defensive and offensive technologies that could neutralize these weapons. Quantum computing played a crucial role. Massive distributed computing networks began solving complex algorithmic challenges. They were creating defensive technologies that could adapt in real time to alien technological threats. "We're building a technological immune system," Dr. Kim told her colleagues. "Not just for this conflict, but for future potential threats." The underground facilities worked around the clock. Caffeine-fueled researchers continued their work, knowing that every breakthrough could mean the difference between planetary survival and total destruction. Satellite networks began developing sophisticated jamming technologies. These were not simple signal blockers, but complex systems that could mimic, redirect, and confuse alien communication networks. As days passed, the initial captured alien communication devices started revealing more of their secrets. Each discovered technology was quickly reverse-engineered, understood, and adapted for human use. The Krell, still positioning their fleet around Earth, remained unaware of the technological storm brewing beneath them. They continued to believe in their technological superiority, unaware that humanity was rapidly closing the technological gap. Dr. Kim looked at the complex holographic displays, a subtle smile crossing her face. The aliens thought they were bringing advanced technology to conquer a primitive civilization. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The first wave of Krell invasion ships entered Earth's orbital zone with calculated precision. Their weapon systems powered up, expecting immediate submission. Instead, they encountered something completely unexpected. Their advanced communication systems began to malfunction. Navigation computers flickered with impossible data streams. Weapon targeting systems showed contradictory information. Something was very wrong. Admiral Sung Lee watched from the Global Defense Command Center. His team had prepared extensively, transforming every potential weakness into a strategic opportunity. The alien fleet was about to experience human ingenuity firsthand. Quantum disruption algorithms, developed in secret underground facilities, began their silent attack. The Krell ship's sophisticated systems started receiving conflicting information. Navigation coordinates shifted randomly. Communication channels became unreliable. One Krell battleship suddenly reported multiple phantom enemy signatures. Another detected impossible gravitational anomalies. Their advanced technology, which had conquered countless civilizations, was now turning against them. Maintain psychological pressure, Admiral Lee instructed his communication specialists. Keep them confused. Human satellites transmitted carefully crafted signals that mimic alien communication protocols. These signals created deliberate confusion, making the Krell question their own technological superiority. Each transmission was designed to introduce doubt, to make the invaders second-guess their strategic positioning. The first Krell ship experienced a complete system shutdown. Then another. Their supposedly impenetrable defense networks were being systematically dismantled by technologies they couldn't comprehend. Dr. Hyun Kim's team had created something revolutionary. They weren't just defending, they were attacking through information warfare. Every alien technological assumption was being challenged, every strategic expectation was being undermined. Smaller human defense platforms, which the Krell had initially dismissed, began executing precise surgical strikes. These weren't random attacks. Each strike was calculated, targeting specific vulnerabilities in the alien fleet's technological infrastructure. The psychological impact was immediate. Krell command structures, used to straightforward conquests, began to fracture. Their hierarchical decision-making systems couldn't process the unpredictability of human resistance. Military strategists had prepared for this moment. They understood that technological superiority meant nothing if the opponent could adapt faster. Humans were turning the Krell's own technologies into weapons of psychological warfare. Electromagnetic countermeasures created zones of technological disruption. Alien ships found their advanced systems becoming increasingly unreliable. Navigation became challenging. Communication became fragmented. They expected a simple conquest, Admiral Lee said quietly. We're showing them complexity. Human hackers, working in coordinated global networks, continued their silent assault. They weren't just defending, they were systematically dismantling the alien technological advantage. The Krell fleet, once looking invincible, now appeared vulnerable. Their massive ships, which had intimidated countless civilizations, were being neutralized through intelligent, adaptive technological warfare. Each alien ship's system became a potential point of vulnerability. Quantum algorithms introduced subtle changes, creating cascading system failures that the Krell couldn't immediately understand or counteract. Communication intercepts revealed growing confusion among the alien commanders. Their reports became increasingly fragmented, showing signs of technological and psychological breakdown. Precision strikes continued. Not massive destructive attacks, but calculated interventions designed to introduce maximum uncertainty. The human strategy was clear: make the invaders question everything. The global defense network operated with unprecedented coordination. Every nation, every research facility contributed to this unified technological response. The Krell were discovering that humanity was not a single target, but a complex, adaptive system. As the first day of resistance concluded, the alien fleet found itself in an unexpected position. Their technological superiority was being systematically challenged. Their communication networks were compromised. Their strategic assumptions were crumbling. Humanity had transformed from a seemingly vulnerable target to an unpredictable, technologically adaptive civilization. The Krell were about to learn a critical lesson: never underestimate an opponent's capacity for innovation. The resistance had begun. And it was nothing like the aliens had expected. The psychological warfare entered its most critical phase. Human forces had transformed from defenders to strategic aggressors, using the Krell's own technologies as weapons of complex manipulation. Captain J. Park studied the holographic displays showing alien fleet movements. Each movement was now predictable, each communication channel a potential trap. The Krell believed they were still conducting an invasion. In reality, they were dancing to humanity's strategic rhythm. Sophisticated holographic projections created entire phantom battle formations. Human satellites transmitted carefully constructed communication signals that mimicked multiple defense scenarios. The alien fleet began receiving contradictory strategic information from what seemed to be their own communication networks. Dr. Hyun Kim's team had developed something extraordinary: adaptive misinformation algorithms. These weren't simple jamming techniques. They were intelligent systems that could learn, predict, and manipulate alien communication patterns in real time. One Krell command ship suddenly received a transmission suggesting multiple human defense platforms were preparing a counterattack from an impossible direction. Another ship detected phantom enemy signatures that disappeared moments later. The confusion was deliberate and systematic. The global human defense network operated with unprecedented coordination. Research centers across different continents shared data instantly. Every technological breakthrough, every discovered alien system vulnerability was immediately distributed and integrated into the overall strategy. Quantum computing networks worked continuously, predicting and modeling alien response patterns. They were building a technological understanding of the Krell that went beyond traditional military intelligence. This was a complete deconstruction of their strategic thinking. Admiral Sung Lee watched the evolving battlefield. The alien fleet, once looking invincible, now appeared increasingly fragmented. Their communication channels were becoming unreliable. Their strategic coordination was collapsing. "We're not just defending," he told his team. "We're dismantling their entire operational concept." Electromagnetic disruption technologies created zones of technological uncertainty. Alien ships found their advanced systems becoming progressively less reliable. Navigation computers showed impossible gravitational readings. Weapon targeting systems detected non-existent threats. The psychological impact was immediate and profound. Krell commanders began questioning their own technological superiority. Their hierarchical decision-making systems, which had conquered countless civilizations, were being systematically undermined. Human hackers continued their silent assault. They weren't just intercepting alien communications, they were actively reshaping information streams. Each transmission was a carefully constructed puzzle designed to introduce maximum uncertainty. Strategic misinformation became a weapon. False communication channels suggested multiple human defense scenarios. The Krell fleet found itself responding to threats that didn't exist, repositioning against phantom attack formations. Dr. Kim's team had discovered a critical vulnerability in the alien communication infrastructure. By introducing subtle algorithmic variations, they could make the Krell's own communication networks work against their strategic objectives. The global response was remarkably unified. Countries that had previously competed now worked as a single, adaptive technological organism. Every research facility, every strategic command center contributed to a complex, evolving defense strategy. Smaller human defense platforms executed precise surgical strikes. These weren't random attacks but calculated interventions designed to introduce maximum technological confusion. Each strike was a carefully planned technological message. As the psychological warfare intensified, the Krell fleet began to show signs of strategic breakdown. Their once precise movements became increasingly erratic. Communication channels became fragmented. Strategic coordination collapsed. Captain Park observed the evolving battlefield with calculated calm. Humanity was no longer just resisting. They were actively transforming the entire concept of technological warfare. The alien fleet, which had entered Earth's space expecting a simple conquest, was discovering something unexpected. They weren't facing a primitive civilization. They were confronting an adaptive, innovative technological ecosystem that could learn, predict, and counter their every move. The tables had been turned. And the Krell were about to experience the full complexity of human technological innovation. The final confrontation arrived with surgical precision. Captain J. Park stood on the command bridge, watching the holographic displays that showed the Krell fleet's complete strategic disintegration. Global defense networks had transformed from defensive systems to calculated offensive platforms. Every technological breakthrough, every captured alien communication fragment was now a weapon of unprecedented complexity. Admiral Sung Lee's voice cut through the tension. Execute global counteroffensive. Quantum-enhanced satellites began their synchronized assault. They weren't just attacking, they were systematically dismantling the alien fleet's entire technological infrastructure. Precise electromagnetic pulses targeted specific communication frequencies. Adaptive algorithms introduced cascading system failures across multiple Krell vessels. The first alien battleship simply went dark. Then another. Then an entire squadron found their advanced systems collapsing simultaneously. What had seemed like an invincible invasion force was now experiencing total technological paralysis. Dr. Hyun Kim watched from her underground research facility. Her team had prepared for this moment. Years of secret research, countless simulation scenarios, and adaptive technological development were now bearing fruit. Human defense platforms executed perfectly choreographed strikes. These weren't massive destructive attacks but precision interventions designed to maximize technological disruption. Each strike was a calculated message: humanity was not a target, but a complex, adaptive civilization. The Krell command structure began to fracture. Their communication networks, once considered impenetrable, now transmitted nothing but confusion and conflicting information. Strategic coordination collapsed within minutes. Smaller human defense platforms continued their surgical assault. They moved with an unpredictability that the alien fleet couldn't comprehend. Traditional invasion strategies meant nothing against an opponent that could adapt faster than they could respond. Diplomatic Representative Yoon Choi prepared for the inevitable communication with the remaining Krell leadership. Her message was clear and direct: humanity would not be conquered. Quantum computing networks predicted and countered every potential alien defensive strategy. What had started as a potential planetary invasion was now becoming a technological demonstration of human innovation. The final stages of the conflict were almost anticlimactic. The Krell fleet, once considered the most advanced technological force in the known galaxy, was now a collection of disabled vessels. Their weapon systems were neutralized. Their communication networks were compromised. Complete system shutdown initiated, reported a young communications officer. Admiral Lee watched the holographic displays. The alien fleet was no longer a threat. They were now simply large, disabled technological artifacts floating in Earth's orbital zone. Dr. Kim's team had achieved something unprecedented. They hadn't just defended against an invasion. They had completely dismantled an apparently superior technological force using nothing more than human ingenuity, adaptive thinking, and advanced technological innovation. The Global Defense Network began systematic documentation of the captured alien technologies. Every system, every communication fragment would be studied, understood, and potentially integrated into human technological development. Representative Yoon Choi prepared the initial diplomatic communication. The message would be clear: humanity was not a civilization to be trifled with. They were adaptable, innovative, and capable of defending themselves against seemingly insurmountable odds. Captain Park allowed himself a slight smile. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated human potential. As the last Krell vessels were systematically disabled, a new understanding emerged. This wasn't just a victory. It was a statement about human technological capability, adaptability, and collective innovation. The invasion was over. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed a potential planetary destruction into a demonstration of technological superiority. The universe had just learned an important lesson about underestimating human potential. And they would not forget it.